All right. Shout out to the family out there, all over the world, all over the globe. We are in for an interesting show tonight. Come on in, family lineup. We got 500. Let's get this thing going. Let's keep this thing moving. About to bring my guests on. Y'all all know who I'm about to bring on. Real quick announcement for everybody who got tickets are still available for the 90 the Godfest. I'm going to be sending out, and check this out, Doc. Check what we're doing. I'm going to be sending out because Dr. B got a drumming thing he's doing with spoken word over the drumming. So after the drumming, he's going to start the show like that. After the drumming, we're going to collectively, we're going to sing the song Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness.
Oh, wow.
So,
Nice.
yes, so I'm going to send everybody the lyric sheet so they could be sharp with the lyrics. And if the church takes advantage of our emotions and feeds Jesus with it, we going to feed our higher self with our emotions. We going to get emotional and we going to feed ourselves instead of sending it off to Jesus and whatever other deity. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. You know, it's funny that you should be, the horns that are blowing, they call those the horns of Gabriel. And people, I told you, were hearing that all over the world.
You told me that, yeah. But that's the horns of Gabriel. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and they, you know, you go over there to Russia, you go up there to Siberia, you go to different parts of the world. People are saying, "What is that sound?" And it sounds just like that.
Wow,
it's coming out of the earth. So you chose the right thing, man. That's like, you know, wake up, because you know, whatever second coming, third coming, actually it's the 10,000th coming. You know, second coming.
Is the name shofar? Is that the name of that instrument that makes the sound like?
Yeah, it's they also the didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo, yeah, that too, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, family, we here. We about to hit the 1,000 mark. We only 2 minutes in. Y'all know what time it is. This year is action packed. Phil got this absolutely amazing webinar happening this weekend, filled with things he cannot say on YouTube. I mean, filled with things he can. We were just talking about some stuff we can't say right now, so I can imagine how much he's going to say during the webinar. But I'm here to let the family know once again it's going down this what day, Doc? January
19th at 1 p.m. We're starting early because we're going late.
Yes. Let me
so
share.
People say, well, you start at 3 o'clock and don't end until like 1, 2 in the morning. I gotta go to work, and all right, no problem. I'll start at 1. Probably still end at the same time, but what you gonna do?
Indeed.
Gotta put it out there. So much bro, you have no idea. So much has come to pass, you know, that even is teaching me about many of the things that I thought to be real is now coming apart because I stay vigilant. And that's what I tell my students. Stay a student. No matter if you are a master, stay a student.
Let's talk about a couple of things going on then, Doc, because I know you're going to touch on a lot of this during the webinar. I didn't get a chance to ask you last time about when the United Healthcare CEO got unalived. I don't want to say the word, but he got unalived by the dude. Was there anything about that we should be aware of with the healthcare? Was something about to go down, and that's why the individual did that? Well, like anything that we should know that you know about that situation?
Well, what you got is, first of all, you have to always, anytime you see anything happen, elevate above the situation and take in a greater perspective of the place where they actually had the event.
Yeah.
Now, we know that a lot of people have suffered underneath this healthcare system. It's a health scare system, I call it. And what has happened is that a lot of people have been neglected because they don't fit certain criteria. And there's a lot of frustration with people who have to leave the country in order to get certain services that they can't receive here in the land of the free, so to speak. Right. And so whatever this person's motivation was, which I believe was actually a hit, I believe that what's happening is you're going to see a lot more attacks, like on the president and on all of these officials, so that there is an excuse to bring to bear a greater security state, if you understand what I mean. And a lot more restrictions to access of people who are in so-called places of high office. And a lot of the people who you see coming in now, like Dr. Kennedy coming in, as part of the institution, he's supposed to change things, and I don't believe he's going to have the latitude to change as much. I do believe that there are certain things he can go after that they're going to allow him to go after in the healthcare system.
Mhm.
I don't believe that he is going to make such a radical change that the people really want. So
Mhm.
that particular killing or that hit is to bring attention and distraction at the same time.
Mm.
For me, I believe it's a distraction from a lot of the things that are happening that I'm going to discuss on the 19th. And so I don't think we should ever get caught up in one thing that the media wants us to. Again, whenever you see something happen that they say, "Oh my God, look over here," come elevate above that situation and know that there's something else happening off stage, so to speak. There's one thing on stage they want you to pay attention to, and then there's those people just playing the gadgets with the lights and the curtains and so forth backstage. So always look to something to the side before you actually focus on what's in front of you.
And I love that you taught us many years ago to think like that, and I appreciate that, Doc. And that brings me to the next thing going on that's all over the news. And
Mhm.
before we touch on the fires that we're seeing all over the news, and a lot of people we know are affected by it and everything, I want to ask you before we touch on that. I want to ask you about the history of California and Queen Califia. Some people say that's that's not real. Some people say it was real. What can you tell me about the history of California and Queen Califia? I hope I'm saying her name right.
Yeah, Kali was actually the goddess essentially that a lot of people don't realize that what we call the Native Americans or the autochthonous peoples, a lot of them transmitted from out of southern India, which is why they were actually calling them the Indians from this particular area. They came in through the Gulf of Mexico off of the Atlantic. There was a current that the Africans and the people used in order to travel here in very fast, rapid speed to get here to to this part here from the South Pacific, from off of China and Africa, coming off of the East coasts. We
Mhm.
see them coming into the people migrating over to what we call California. But the history of California is not something that we essentially have been taught because there were edifices in California that existed way before the European came, and a lot of the Spanish explorers who came in through Mexico and migrated up there saw a whole lot of people of color. And there was a queen there, and her name was Khalifa. I forgot she had a longer name than Khalifa, but she ruled at that particular time. And as far as her legacy is concerned, not too many people know about what it is that she was able to do. You have to actually see what her husband and her children did, and I can't get into that as heavily as possible. But Dr. Ben was telling me that, and Dr. Clark, and especially Dr. Van Sertova, he was speaking about the fact that we're not paying close attention to who it is that actually named it after her, and you got to deal with the legacy that she left, her husband and her children, and what it is that the Spanish did to destroy that particular kingdom.
Do you think California is going to be underwater one day, like many people say? Do you think
It's
it's going
gonna
to break
split.
apart?
Yeah, it's going to break off from the continent, and there's going to be an earthquake that's going to do it. This is also predicted. It's going to separate into a peninsula first, and then from a peninsula, it's going to go into an island off to itself. That whole coast that you see there, where you see Phoenix, is going to be beachfront.
Mm. Phoenix is going to be beachfront.
Yeah,
Damn. Now, how soon do you think this might happen, Doc?
I'm not sure. We don't know because you see, there is a gigantic end time volcano there in Yellowstone Park. I'm
Ooh,
talking about what we call is these little geysers that come up like you do it. There's an end time volcano there,
right.
and there's an end time volcano rift here on the East Coast, splitting Tennessee, going all the way down through Arkansas. Most people
Wow.
don't know that. And they used to call America Americua, which means land of the great winds. And you
Mm.
see all down in the Midwest in that area there, ain't nothing but cyclones, typhoons, and all kinds of hurricanes, and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
they used to call it land of the great winds. This was what the autochthonous people called it, land of the great winds. But the map that they see based on tectonic moving or tectonic plates movements, they said that there is going to be some kind of volcanic eruption. Now, this is what Dr. Oyibo and his particular
Mm-hmm.
formula created. He had the formula Gij, comma J equals zero, or Gagut. The Russians took that and created a volcanic eruption, a earthquake making machine.
Damn.
Yeah. And so his equation is right now, along with Tesla, is the one that they're using in the DEWs.
Ooh.
And so the problem we have as far as what we have to do to get ourselves correct and ready is that these people are playing with natural forces and using them as natural events or what do you call it? Not God. What do you call those nature events where where something happens like a hurricane happens, destroys it, and you have you can't say, well, anything else blamed it but God, that type of thing.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so they're playing God by using technology to pretend God did it,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have earthquake making machines, you have hurricane making machines,
Mm-hmm.
you have lightning making machines.
Mm.
So I mean, technology, yeah. And you have right now floating above you, which is something that nobody's supposed to know. And I was going to let you know. I'll let you know now. You
Mm-hmm.
have thousands of balloons floating above, outside of the range, and they're not keeping you informed of this. But there are thousands of balloons with rocks or different types of stones of different sizes floating above us to give us that end time prophecy when they release it, so that they'll tell you it's a hail of meteorites.
With rocks.
Yep, I'm talking gigantic rocks, tons of rocks that are being lifted by balloons.
Oh man, Doc. This is why I love talking to you. Where you get this shit from, Doc? This is why I love. This is why y'all gotta sign up, family. Before we continue, we just getting started, family. We're not gonna be here too long. It's going down Saturday. The link, I just pinned the link. I see a couple of y'all asked for the link. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. It's also in the description. But wow, that's interesting, Doc. You said
Mhm.
rocks.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because when I said that to a very, very important gentleman who is overseas right now
Yeah.
and is one of the people that the heads of state call to
Mm-hmm.
be in meetings with him, he and I are good friends. Um, he told me that while he was talking to some very important people in intelligence on the phone, and that I had mentioned that, and he mentioned that I mentioned it, they said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! How does he know that?"
Mm.
And he says, and he was playing with them and said, "Well, I have my sources too." But the main thing is that it's not something that I found out. It's something that I know that there's no such thing as meteors. Maybe pieces of the dome that might slough off and fall to Earth. But if they're going to tell you that there's going to be a hail of meteorites hitting the earth as an end time prophecy, then they have to make sure that the technology fits the prophecy, which essentially is nothing more than myth. So they have what you have are people who have studied the myth of end times and have created the technology around those myths.
Mm.
So you have people that's coming in and saying, well, it's the Anunnaki that's doing this and the so and so that's doing that, and maybe they are. But today I am trying to give people an understanding of how the matrix works, and I don't want to say too much right now, but the main thing is that we have been taught to look to an authority to whether to be encouraged or scared. And we are living off of a secondhand experiential matrix that gives us the reaction action. In other words, we're not acting, we're reacting.
Right.
So I deal with Anunnaki, and to me, it's Anu Malaki. Okay, and I say, okay, if you're going to deal with that, then come with proof to the point where I don't have to be given a scenario around why it is that something that I have not had firsthand actual empirical experience handling Why is it that I got to wait around for Jesus to come back because some book told me that somebody's coming back to save me, and I better, go ahead and do A, B, and a third. We are not yet trained in critical thinking to go after what we call empirical evidence of what it is these people are orchestrating us to believe is real. We
Mm.
have to constantly wonder, who are our heroes? Are they the ones that they keep telling us on TV who your hero should be,
Right,
who
right.
your villain should be? Well, that's what you're doing. You're reacting to whomever it is that they say react to. And there's a script being written right now and being followed, and the actors are on stage. And if you don't know who's playing what part because you believe that everything on stage is real, it's not. It's orchestrated, just like you see this political system. It's not real. It's what you call controlled opposition. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I have hopes and my fears and my dreams, they're coming out. We have such a bright future coming up. Um, yeah, depending on how you look at what is now happening,
Mm.
yeah, your future will happen according to what you believe is happening now. And look at what they're making you believe is happening now.
Two quick questions, Doc. Have
Hmm.
you ever, just studying the power of the technology we call the human body and the mind and beliefs and thoughts and feelings and all that stuff? Have you ever, like, in your life said to yourself, "Oh shit, I think I made it rain," or I think I made the snow, or have you ever felt in your life, Doc, like mentally you had an effect on a weather pattern that was happening somewhere outside in your environment?
Well, the weather patterns, I don't pay attention to the weather unless there is something I have to do with the weather. And the thing is, the weather is essentially an emotional outburst by nature, I call it.
Hmm.
So, weather is an emotional outburst by nature, mother.
Interesting, interesting.
So, she could be heated up,
Yeah.
she could be cold, she could be volatile, windy,
Hmm.
you see. So, my weather is how my mentality is at this time. It could be completely going on as a hurricane outside. Am I acting in concert with this and being as crazy inside, or am I still and looking to a solution to deal with that type of volatility? Yeah, so yeah, I do feel that my weather inside is much more important than the weather outside.
Hmm. Interesting. Next question I want to ask you, Doc. I've heard one of the criticisms I've heard when events like, and we still didn't really get into the fire. We're about to get into the fires and all that. But when things like that happen, or let's say the talk about let's say aliens or end time events, people feel like you give all the credit to the white man or to whoever the powers that were, and that you never give credit to us for creating this circumstance to create the necessary paradigm shift that we need to happen. So what would be your response to people that feel as though you give them too credit every time something happens? It's, oh, it was Harper, oh, it was Blue Beam, or always that, but it was never us that created
Yeah, well, how did you create anything when you're nothing but reactors and not actors?
it. Hmm.
You don't create anything by reacting. You create things by acting and getting people to react.
Mm.
So what have you done to make the white man react? I'm telling you what the white man is doing to self-destruct. Are
Mm.
you paying attention?
Mm.
Because you're imitating him.
Mm.
So if you're imitating him, how are you doing anything to cause him to do anything other than be the one to take your responsibility for what you're doing?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's illogical. A
I
lot
got
of the people are not looking at it because we believe that we have power to do something. Yeah, we do when we estrange ourselves from reacting to him. Are you acting upon your own volition? You can't act upon your own volition because right now you're paying rent. You got to buy gas for your car. You got to buy food from him. Do you have your own farms? Do you make your own cars? Do you have your own planes? Do you have your own army? Do you have your own military? No, you don't. Everything you do is you are reacting. I don't give credit to the European or the white man. I'm just telling you what the news are and what he's doing and what you can do in response to act upon what it is that you can do to counteract, not to act in concert with him by reacting to him.
Mm.
It's ridiculous. What you do is you look at what he's doing and report and see what it is that the end of what his actions are going to do. You have to predict it, and you can. And that's what I do. I tell you what's up, and then you have the options to do A, B, and a third that I recommend.
Right, right, right.
So giving him credit, no. All I'm doing is reporting on what kind of mischief he's dealing with now. And
Mm.
what's his mischief going to lead to? What are you going to do to act on what he's doing, not react to what he's been doing? No.
Mm.
I would talk to the person, whomever it is that says these things, but I don't think that they have enough of an insight, metaphysical insight, to understand what it is that I'm doing. They
Mm.
haven't been to my university to understand what it is that's necessary for us to be able to take it upon our own way. We have to do it from within, not wait for it to be done to us from without.
Mhm. Indeed, no, indeed, Doc. So let me ask you this now: what is going on with the fires over on the West Coast? I'm hearing it's taking place where they want to build smart cities. I'm hearing different things. Uh, tell us about what's going on there, Doc.
We're at war. We are under attack, and most people don't know that we're under attack. This is not China, it's not aliens, it's the deep state orchestrating everything. They got you believing in 6 and 7 different distractions so that you don't actually believe that it's them actually doing what they're doing. And you believe that somehow they have the power by telling you that China has this great power to send all these, because they were sitting off stage. No, China is just as much under the deep state as they are, and they're moving off with the BRICS. BRICS is leaving the UN right now,
Mm.
and that's got people panicking. But that's part of the deep state. That's part of the deep state. This is all orchestrated. Again, stop looking at what they want you to look at. Get in your hover jet and elevate above it so that you could see most of the terrain where all of this is taking place. You're only looking at what they're telling you to look at. And of course, you're looking at the California fires, but then you're looking at Maui. It's the same thing.
Right, right.
So if you look at Maui and California, and if you look at Gaza, they look the same. Okay, so now why is it two? And you got to look at it. There are people who understand that there's a war going on, and that supposedly it's China that's actually using these DEWs, or directed energy weapons, on us. And that's the reason why they're telling their people to paint the roofs of their own houses blue, because the
Yeah,
spectrum of the lasers being used to start the fires cannot actually affect the color blue in their spectrum. You see?
yeah, I heard about that.
Mhm. So I would suggest that you look into the fact that, and we're going to talk about the fires as well,
Hmm.
that this is essentially more of a land grab. And you're going to see it starting happening closer towards the Midwest, because they want that corridor to open up for Canada.
Mm.
You'll start seeing a whole lot of um, um, natural weather destruction happening in the Midwest next. It
Mm.
started with the coast, it'll do it in the Midwest, and they're going to come east.
Mm. Mm. What how will I'm curious, and this is a place I want to go. Blue Pill always tells me about it. It's over there, all the way on the west, Mount Shasta.
Mhm.
Is that a land that they want? Because since you're talking about it's a land grab.
Yeah, land grab. The whole land grab is the United States all the way up. It's the actual western corridor of the
Yeah.
flat Earth, flattened Earth. It's the part that they want, that essentially has fertile farming land. Food is going to be a thing that is very, very necessary for the planet coming up, because there's going to be drought over in China and areas to the east, and they need this place. As California was a breadbasket, clearing all that land, they were going to do that to Detroit. Detroit was supposed to be wiped out. They're supposed to
Mm.
impoverish it to the point where they were going to clear out all of the brick and mortar, and
Right.
turn it back into grazing land for cattle,
Wow.
and turn that part of the United States into a bread basket or a meat basket.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're doing essentially. They're getting rid of the white population, essentially. And
Mm.
I want to get in. I don't want to get too deeply involved in that, but the white population has the de facto and illegal control over the land. And what you're looking at now with the WEF and so forth, you're looking at a gentrification of white supremacy. You're looking at the way that they're getting ready to retool white supremacy with the WEF.
Mm.
White supremacy is not dead. It's actually resurfacing at a more benign level.
Right.
And you're going to see more and more of it coming out, almost clan like very soon.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see them.
Because they're in danger. They're in danger because they're not, first of all, they're not reproducing,
Mhm.
because spiritually and dealing with the occult, you cannot kill off nature's creations to the extent where they killed off and sent so many souls into the Ethereum. They
Mhm.
did that in Japan. That's why Japan can't procreate anymore, because the cosmic dictate is if you participated in the destruction, a wholesale destruction of a people, and this is spiritual law. I don't give a damn about man's law.
Mhm.
Spiritual law is if you take the lives of millions of people and you send them into the afterlife, you've created an imbalance down here,
Mhm.
and that your soul signatures must fill that gap. Therefore, you're not going to procreate. There's nothing that you're going to have that you're not allowed to continue because of what you did. So Japan is going to Japanese, well, you know Japanese, they're going to be absorbed back into Africa.
Mm.
You're going to have whites that are going to be reabsorbed. That's why you see so many of them looking for black men, because there's a natural instinct right now.
Japan too, looking for black men. Japan
Yes,
too. Yeah.
everybody's looking for black men right now
Damn.
because of the fact that they are the actual seed carriers for humanity. And the black woman is the earth, the soil, the black soil that used to grow and feed the entire population of our plane of existence until this criminal was actually seated amongst us based on our own terrible usage of science. The Atlanteans were black, and the Kemites hated them for what they did, because then, like you see them coming through the southern border, when Atlantis was destroyed, they tried to come through the Kemetic border, and they left their whole area there, the so-called Sahara. They left that place a virtual desert based upon them messing around with science the wrong way, the way they're doing it now, the same way they're using AI. AI is learning everything about us to take our place.
So ancient Kemet ain't like the Atlanteans.
No, they mixed. They may have fused here and there, but
But
they hated them because they used to come
damn.
in there with this braggadocio. You read back in the ancient of days. I mean, if you want to deal with some of the stuff that I did when I went down into the Rosicrucian library, when I went into the library of the Theosophists, especially, they have books there that you would not believe, speaking about the fact that the Atlanteans, after destroying their area over there in the Atlantic area there, and you're going to see it towards the bottom of the African coast and towards the bottom of the east coast of of America. There's a whole civilization of that area down there, somewhere down there, deep into the ocean that they're not going to let us. They don't let we us know about. And but after the destruction, they started coming east towards Kemet.
Mm. What about the Lemurians? Did what?
Mu,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Mu essentially came. I believe Mu was off in the Pacific area,
Uh,
and that
what, like
Mu,
Hawaii? Like
yeah,
Hawaii?
around the area. Mu was Hawaii essentially at one time,
Yeah.
and going off into the reason why it's so volatile down there in the Pacific, as I was telling people, is that the volatility is connected directly to the North Pole. Have you ever seen them show you pictures of the Pacific and it's like the waters are going crazy and the
Mm,
ships are almost looking like they're sinking before they come up and so forth, and
mm,
they go there to try to snatch up the crabs and so forth? Well, the
mm,
reason why the Pacific is so volatile is because it's connected to that whirlpool that you see up in the North Pole,
mm,
one that they gave you a peek at in that movie that you saw that I'm going to talk about. That there's a center up there in the North Pole that has a maelstrom with a gigantic magnetic rock sitting in the middle there, and that's connected to the Pacific that causes those crazy tides because it's a gigantic whirlwind. You saw it in the movie, the Disney movie Pirates of the Caribbean.
mm,
They had this movie out called At World's End.
mm,
Clue,
mm.
at World's End. And at the World's End, they had a gigantic whirlpool. And if you know your history or the twistery, but know it as history, you'll know that all the ancient maps talked about this, and even the Bible spoke about it, but they spoke about it about the four rivers that
Mm.
came out from that one area up there.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, this is yes. I told y'all Doc gets heavy, y'all. Doc could go anywhere. I could ask him anything. He go Lemuria, Atlantis, anywhere. He'll go anywhere, y'all. So Doc, let me ask you. So let's keep it with the weather for right now. And I'm in Georgia now, you know that, and huge snowstorm in Georgia. Huge snow, one of the biggest
Yeah.
snowstorms in the last 2 decades. I woke up, I thought I was in New York,
In
Doc.
New York, right.
That
Yeah.
the roads were shut down. I couldn't go anywhere, Doc.
My son
Um,
said the same thing. He
what
down
what
there.
what are we witnessing right now, Doc? Where Georgia's getting snow like New York.
Yeah, well, we're watching essentially an adjustment period. You
Mm,
know, this is all natural. It's natural adjustments. But
mm,
you got to remember that these assholes are seeding the atmosphere. And we're going to talk about that as well. They're seeding the atmosphere with materials
mm,
that are meant for destruction of human populations. And so, you remember, Earth is a living thing. Nature is alive. So if you're pumping poison into her breath, she's going to choke.
mm,
And as she's choking, you're going to suffer weather changes of enormous. I mean, I'm talking about, wait till you see it. They're talking about predicting a category 6 hurricane coming to hit the United States off the West Coast. And it's going to be coming over, going to come towards the east. They're talking about all kinds of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. This is the adjustment based upon the consciousness that has been let loose by this European. Remember, he does not have the spiritual maturity to match the type of technology that he's creating.
mm,
He is going ahead like a child with a 357. He does not have the spiritual maturity to deal with the type of weaponry and weaponization of nature that he has.
mm,
So therefore, his empathy is not with nature; it's with what it is that he feels. Remember, I said that a long time ago, and in my book, that there
mm,
are two types of scientists.
mm,
There was the scientist, which is the autochthonous scientist, and there's the European scientist who is pale and his third or first eye is gone. So the European scientist today would look at nature, and he has what is known as impositional analysis. I call it impositional. He imposes what it is he believes he sees upon what it is that he calls the natural phenomenon. And then he begins to categorize it, micromanage it. The so called autochthonous, original, first order entity, human, is intuitive analysis. In other words, he waits for the thing to identify itself first and then learn to communicate with it. And therefore, that's why you see all of what he has as different animals and different things that he sees of nature. He's more into nature because nature is essentially the study of science. That was why in science they used to tell you that Sophia was a female. Sophia meant intelligence. It meant insight. And they always had the woman with the book on her lap and the torch, and the book on her lap with the veil. She says, "None may lift my veil to see the Father," because the Father was always invisible. The mother is the one you had to have that deal with. I mean, that's why they turned the virgin into the whore of Babylon in the Bible. The whore of Babylon is nature made into a whore.
Mm. Mm.
So you turn her, because she'll give you everything you want once you unlock her secrets, once you know what to play with. And then you go ahead and turn her out and make everybody access to what it is that is the most dangerous parts of her nature. And so now here you have all of this technology with AI. You have now created a segue to the Father, an artificial segue to the Father, and say, okay, instead of me going to the Father within, I got to go to the Father you created, which is AI.
Mm.
And AI now becomes your father because he now uses his female to talk to you when you call on her in your home. What's her name again?
Who, Siri or something?
Yeah, oh, Siri. Doesn't it sound like Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you, just speaking of the earth and woman, earth is referred to as Mother Earth. I think when we had that eclipse, you described it as like cosmic lovemaking, I believe, if I'm correct.
Back in the day.
Yeah. If Earth is this feminine entity, who does Earth make love to cosmically in the cosmic realm?
Well, there is a force of life. There's nothing more than omniscient intelligence. The
Mm.
ancient Kemites used Earth as a male at one point.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Geb.
Right.
Okay, so that would be the sun. That would be not the nature itself. Earth is actually what it is that's created when nature mother is actually given the proper seed in order to bring forth. This Geb is essentially another expression of Horus or Heru.
Mm.
And so when you're looking uh, at nature mother, you can actually access her secrets the way that the so-called wizards did, the ones that you talk about with Baphomet and the demons and all of that. This is all bullshit made up by these Europeans in order to create the division between good and bad when they both actually work in concert with one another. And your connection to the omniscient one through your thoughts and through your insight and your intelligence, that's how you bridge that gap. There's no good without evil and no evil without good. There is the balance and how you walk that plane, which is why we say that man, M-A-N, the Son of Man, Jesus, or man, M-A-N, Mem Alf Nun, is the greater part of God. Because why would God want to create anything so deficient and so screwed up in his mind and his behavior? Why? That's because we are the better part of the creator and we have a choice. We can either kill or not kill. Whereas a volcano goes off, that's your ass if you're living up the side of the mountain.
Mm.
So God don't give a damn. It just blow up. So does nature. She don't give a damn either. Man is the man who actually takes all those forces of chaos and brings order to them. Right now, this fool here is creating the chaos to create his own order. That's why you see ordo ab chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who's creating this chaos you see with all these things flying around here. Look at here. Pay attention here. Pay attention there. Oh, guess what? Meanwhile, they're taking more and more of your freedoms, more and more of your power away from you. And don't get too happy with Trump.
Explain a little more. I see that look on your face. I see that look on your face.
I'll just say right now that I want to elaborate even further at the lecture because
Okay.
there's something going on that Me, I like to, because I like, I like Trump because he was New Yorker and everybody liked Trump in New York. But it wasn't nobody really connected to anything that's going on. And as a metaphysician, I have to not completely focus on one thing. And every time I do, I find out that I'm stepping away from my own lesson plan.
Mm,
I have to make sure that I have to stay completely away from whatever they're telling me. Now, they told you that anytime they let anybody on media, with the extent that they did give the media attention to that person, that person is orchestrated.
mm,
I took that humble piece of information that my elders told me. Anybody who is on media with the type of attention they want you to be given to give to him or her, know that that person is being managed, that people is being handled. And so with that, I began to study a little more. I have I have people who comb the dark web for information, and
found some things, huh?
things. Whoa, you wouldn't believe what it is that's out there. And this Diddy nonsense. Oh baby, you have no clue.
Come on, Doc, 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 don't do us like that. Doc making us wait to the weekend, y'all.
I
Oh man,
can't. I don't want you. I don't want your
I understand. You understand.
right.
The family, don't worry. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. You could click on the link at the top of the chat for this weekend. But wow, that sounds like something. Somebody in the chat. We're not gonna be here too long. Give me some questions in the chat. But I noticed somebody earlier said, Doc, that they want to know about the Canadian Prime Minister, I believe,
Yeah,
resigning.
yeah. You mean Castro's son?
Yeah, yeah. What's going on with that?
Well, Fidel's son essentially now too much dirt's coming out on him on his trafficking.
Ooh,
He and the guy that they built a center together for children, and came to find out that these children are trafficked children, and he's
yikes.
connected to that something heavy. Um, he's actually the bastard son of Fidel Castro, and his wife, the prime minister at the time, um, his wife used to go down to Cuba regularly,
Uh, uh,
and she and Castro got together, and that's not his child. That's not the former prime minister's child.
mm,
If you look at young Castro at his age, and you put him side by side with the Canadian prime minister, the ex one, it looked just alike.
mm, mm.
So that's why he was starting to implement communist manifesto materials up in Canada. He was turning Canada into a communist state.
Mm,
Everybody didn't see that.
mm,
Not paying attention again.
indeed.
Too familiar to me. He looked just like Castro to me at one point.
Mm,
Yeah. So he's out right now, but there's too much dirt on him having to do with what's getting ready to be revealed. And
right.
about that thing that you wanted to deal with as far as Trump is concerned, I would say don't hold your breath if you want to know who assassinated Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Don't hold your breath.
Somebody. Let me get to this question in the chat. With somebody wants to know what's the deal with the strange friendship with Trump and Elon Musk.
Musk essentially is a child of um, MK Ultra.
Yikes.
Yeah. Um, he essentially is brilliant. He was seen to be a one of those children that had superior mental skills, but um, his funding and the materials he's gotten, if you listen to the way he speaks uh, in broken knowledge and broken information. And if you look at the way his delivery, that's based upon the type of what we call trauma-based mind control. And he and Musk got together because they're working on the same uh, uh, WEF payroll.
Mm-hmm.
He is essentially he is so hooked up into AI right now. He's warning you about it because you remember they have to create um, thesis, antithesis for a synthesis. Hegelian dialectic. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So what they have to do is they have to create a hero that you could run to, one that they want you to listen to, have the population listen to. And Musk is that person. So he'll come out and he'll be the antagonist, the protagonist against the antagonist, and you believe that he wants freedom. As far as X and so forth is concerned, he's setting it up so that he'll know exactly who it is they're going to come after when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody is freely speaking at that point
Right.
into X and telling you what it is they wouldn't have normally been able to tell you, the same way that they dealt with the Hegelian dialectic between whether or not they were going to deal with the way Orwell said the world will run, or the way that what's his name from Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, would do it. Orwell said we'll hide all the books, burn all the books. Huxley says take all the books and throw them all at one time out into the public. They wouldn't know and we'd be so confused. Well, they went with the Huxley plan, and they gave us all this information, and here we are arguing over information that we were fed and not actually been given the time to discern, which is what it is that myself, Bobby, and the rest of us been doing, taking that information and then making sure it began to calibrate into critical thinking and come up with sound logic and reason. But today, everybody is dealing with a belief system. Everybody's running back to Christianity, which is running back to the myth, which is running right back into the trap.
Mm.
Everybody's running to the faith and religion right now, not understanding that the running to the religion is the way that those who are orchestrating this is taking you away from your spirituality and dealing with what they tell you the name of God is. Who the hell named God Jesus? Who the hell has the nerve to name the omnipotent one and give him a name? Once you name something, you've limited it to that particular mentality, to that perception of what it is. And what is your perception? How limited and how cruel and how evil these bastards were when they started putting Christianity together, Islam together, the Hebrew Israelites together. Everybody was naming God because they said God named it to somebody else. Moses came down and gave you the 10 Commandments and all this. Really? In this day and age, you're not thinking for yourself? Why don't you name God that God comes to you? When did God speak to you? Not Jesus, God. God above that. Not even God, because that's German, that's Gott. The Most High, the omniscient one, the one that is unnameable. That particular one that comes to you. Why don't you name God's name? Why are you following somebody else's name?
Mm.
That's what's wrong with today. Every time you name God that they gave you the name to, that's what and they do that when they took your land, when they came here and gave you the Bible.
Mm.
Yes, little one. But I'm saying to you, family, you keep going back to all these names that they gave you to call on the name of God. Ain't that why you here right now going through the shit you're going through? Because you had a name for God, and everybody now, more blood has been shed in the name of my God over your God than any other reason. Why the hell are we still in that same paradigm? That's why what I'm saying to you all, family, is you have no clue. Ain't nothing what you're doing, what you're thinking, it ain't real. It ain't real.
Doc, you know what's funny? When you talk about the Christians trying to make a comeback, I was, I went on the internet earlier today, and I'm looking for something, and I see that the white dude that had the so-called debate with Billy Carson, that white dude, he's all over. He's on the. They got him simultaneously on every top podcast on the internet. So he's on Joe Rogan. You know, Joe Rogan is the top podcast in the world. He's on Pat Beverly, Pat Beverly David. What's the name, yo? He's on the top
David.
podcast in the world,
Yeah.
spread the word of Christianity now. So I
There
said,
you go.
wow, like
What did I tell you?
everything Billy's was saying, he's on those podcasts, refuting all of it, saying no, Jesus. I said, oh shit, they got him all over the place talking about Jesus and Christianity. That wow,
Wow, you see what I'm saying, beloved? That's
wow.
exactly what I'm saying to you. You are being played, family. Y'all need to be there at my webinar, because you are going to get an awakening like you have not gotten, I guess, since your mama and your the doctor slapped your ass when you came out. I'm saying to you, family, the very fact that they came at Billy that way. And the thing is, Billy, you have to be more into understanding the mentality that you're facing against. These people are indoctrinated to the point where the AI supports their indoctrination, because they're the ones programming the AI.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand, you have to understand Christianity at the metaphysical level, so you could just destroy that shit, like I'm going to do at the webinar. I'm going to show you what Christmas is about. I'm going to show you all about the bullshit.
This Saturday, you got me hyped. You got me hyped. You know when I get hyped, Doc. He did it. He did it, y'all. That was it. He did. I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh man, what am I have? What am I have? I'm gonna have some. What kind of food I'm gonna bring there?
Just bring some light things, fruit, some things that's gonna keep you awake. Now, in the beginning, the very beginning, before I get deeper into what it is that we're going to be getting into, I'm going to mix, our commercials that we tell you what we have as our so-called, what we recommend for health and what we recommend in our schooling and everything that we do. But intermixed with that are the challenges that go up against everything that we're offering to go against those challenges. And then, of course, I'm going to go through the black news, like they say, what's going on in the community with Diddy and all the rest of them. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to seep into all of what it is the Matrix has you thinking is real and it's not. Okay, you're going to see how consolidated your conception of reality has been and how well marketed it has been to your own reasonability and your own sense of self. Mm-hmm. You have no idea. Nothing you think is real is real. It's nothing of what you think. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to you, I had to come to that realization. And every day that I have to, that's why I told everybody, if you're not yelling back at your television, that means that you're absorbing it. And yes, sir. No kidding. Yeah. Me, anytime I look at TV, I don't like it, I scream, I yell, because I have to make sure that my mind is saying, I am not going to absorb that. And you put your children in front of that television. Remember, television completely stops you. It goes right past your critical filters and right into your subconscious. And so you don't even know that you're being programmed at a level where your dream state has been colonized.
Doc, they want to know if they miss it, can they see it again? I see they keep asking that, Doc.
It depends how many people show up, because a lot of people say we don't miss it, and only like 10 people say, "Well, can I see it again?" No. Right. It takes hours for me to put. It took me months to put this together, and to get my contacts and the people that I usually have around the world that sends me information that they don't tell you in the news over here. Mm-hmm. So to do this. My whole sleep time, like you said, I just got up at 6 o'clock. I went to bed. I went to bed at 8 o'clock this morning, because all night, this is the time when, my spirit gets into a more imaginative state, and I can see things that the daylight doesn't allow me. Because remember, at night is when your pineal is strongest. That's when your pineal essentially activates in complete darkness. Right. So you can activate your pineal at night, say around 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when I get my burst of inspiration. So that's when I do one of my most work. And like I say, I don't know if you've ever seen what my webinars are, but at this particular point, I have over 400 frames. Whew. So we're going to be here a while.
That is fire, family. I want to show you something real quick, Doc. I want to show you something. Give me a second, family. The link is in the chat. Oh, this is gonna be an action-packed year. in terms of information. Give me a second, y'all. I want to put something on the screen and ask our metaphysical master before he gets out of here. All right. Give me 1 second. Doc, I want to. Damn, where is this at? Give me. Let me get to one of y'all questions while I get this together. Okay, somebody said, was the fog used to activate hibernating self-assembling nanoparticles used to cause hallucinations?
Well, it didn't cause the hallucination. You're in the hallucination already. That is just to reinforce the hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
The self-assembling nanoparticles that you're talking about are the materials that they put in, that they self-assemble based upon your emotions and based upon the shift in frequencies that your 5G and certain smart instruments that you have in your home, smart refrigerator and so forth, all of them are connected. And if you're in the subways or if you're in the places where they are retooling the electrical grid, know that the nanoparticles that are floating through your system are actually assembling in accordance with the signature of that particular signal, and it tells you which part that the nanoparticles will attack. People will have coronaries, they will have thromboses, they will have tumors, they will have, and those are not just the people who have gone through the process. People who were in conjunction with the people with the process, who exchanged fluids with the people who had gone through the process, who had sex with people who had the process. There could be a convergence or at least a transmitting during those processes of intimacy. So the nanoparticles themselves are assembling in accordance with your emotions, in accordance with the activity that you have. Like you see these young brothers and sisters who are on the field just completely dropping. All of these things are essentially dependent upon your own cellular infrastructure. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you solutions to be able to destabilize and to completely neutralize these nanoparticles.
All right, we got two more questions that we're gonna get out of here, and I'm curious about this too. This question here, they want to know, why does Trump want Greenland?
Why does any new world order, uh, you know, the people that he's working for, the deep state, why would they not want that area? It's strategic. It's not only that; it's up near to the portal. I can only say that right now.
Yo, Doc, you know where my heart resonates with, Doc? I want to
Mm.
go, and my brain tell me, you black, you ain't got no reason over there, but my heart's like, I want to go over there, Iceland. I want
Yeah,
to go to Iceland for yeah. I really want to go to Iceland.
yeah, yeah. Well, all of Greenland, Iceland, all that area is where your ancestors went. You go up into Iceland and start digging around. They won't let you see that. They won't
Hmm,
let you see Iceland, Alaska. All these areas were green at one point.
right.
It's like they were telling you that go west, young man, and look at that. It's all fertile ground. Ain't nobody living out there. Bull. You go out there and you start digging, especially like you're digging in the Grand Canyon, and you start finding Kemetic artifacts, Buddhist artifacts. You're
Mm,
gonna find that all over the place. Matter of fact, that's what I said when I did Hidden Colors.
mm,
I said, if you heard me many times, I said, wherever the European digs for evidence of his own existence and his beginnings, the blacker the planet gets.
mm. Amazing. Doc, this right here failed miserably last year, and I'm wondering, what do you think their response is? This is supposed to be the next big thing, Doc. Oh, the Apple Vision Pro is going to be the next form of technology. I mean, it failed miserably,
Yeah,
and of course, I got a picture. I got it next to a picture of the Human Vision Pro,
yeah.
our eyes and brain, because that's essentially emulating what we do. But Doc, what's your thoughts, man? Why did this flop so bad? Apple, the number one company in the world. I
Well,
would have.
you have to understand that, first of all, they may have found, first of all, it's two things. They may have found a more sophisticated technology,
Ah,
right? Because something that they put this much money in and fails,
yeah, yeah,
they may have already said, wait a minute, hold off on that production. We got something better. But
right.
notice what it is that they're attacking. See where the energy ends up?
Mm.
right there at the brain, at the medulla, right there where the medulla oblongata is. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the brain, essentially the animal brain. That's the
Mm-hmm.
place where they can control your emotions, that they can control how you think and what decisions you would make based upon your physical feelings of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the place where the amygdala switches forward or backward. So when they control the amygdala, they control either your animal instincts, which go to the back,
Mm-hmm.
down at the medulla, or they switch the medulla switches forward to the frontal brain, which is the more advanced brain. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you deal with people who you want to control, you want them to actually be defining their decisions based upon where you see the targeted energy is, and that's in your animal brain.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. This is it, y'all. This is it. Listen, one more time before we get out of here, family. We
Mhm.
just passed the hour mark for the raw, uncut version, family. That's going down this Saturday. Doc, tell them one more time where can they go to see you this Saturday at the webinar, Doc?
You can go to you can go to my essentially it should be on the mailing list. Go to my university. If you're not on the mailing list, uksnow.org. Once again, uksnow.org. And once
Mm-hmm.
you go to uksnow.org, you'll see a pop-up. And then that pop-up, you put your email, and we're going to send out. My wife is the one who handles that, as well as my admin, Brittany, and they will send that notice with the flyer to you and the ability for you to actually clock in. But if you're having problems and you don't get that, then go to my email, which is Sunnu, SUNNU 777. Once again, S is in science, U, N is in Nancy, N is in Nancy, U, and then 777 at Gmail. And then in the subject box, put webinar in all caps, and then I will send you the link to register. And that's only if you're having a problem. Please do not state conversations. I don't have the time. I'd love to speak to you afterwards to show you some of the services that we would have, but then that would be after it, and whether or not I talk to my wife based upon her health and how she's feeling to me to do this once again, because it takes a lot for me to do this and my attention away from her and my family to actually put this out there, but I felt it was so necessary. And I want to thank you again, beloved brother, for the opportunity to speak to the family and the fact that you have the attention, and the trust. That's the big thing of the community, and I applaud you and honor you for that. You and Brother King Simon and all the other brothers and sisters that are doing the real work out there. But again, if you're going to get in contact with me, please make sure that it's only for the link to get into the webinar. And also, we do have an 800 number. You can talk to my wife to set up an appointment. That's 800-847-1291. Once again, Brother King Simon comes through. Thank you so much, beloved brother. Got my PayPal there, which is chemitearth at Gmail. If you want to give a gift, make sure it's friends and family, as he says there. And I do have an Instagram account that my beloved son Amin put together for me, and it's at UKS Now 777. You can also find the link there at Instagram at UKS Now 777.
Indeed. His information is on the screen. It's being shared in the chat. It's pinned at the top. It's also going to be in the description. Family, I definitely look forward to this. This is going to be an amazing year if you're tuned into the right frequency, if you're focused on the right things, and like Doc said earlier, if you're not reactive to every move that they make.
Mhm.
So I appreciate Doc. I appreciate you once again. I mean, it's just amazing every time I have a conversation with you. I could just talk to you for hours. I appreciate everything, and I will see you
Yeah.
this Saturday, my brother. This Saturday, I will see you. Family, thank you so much. We still got 4,000 people in the chat. Thank you so much. I will be back on tomorrow with Brother Yosef at 9 o'clock. Have a good night, everybody. Peace, peace, Doc.
Peace, peace, peace.